Welcome to Comptroller's Corner. I'm your host, Pat Curry, joined as always by Buffalo Comptroller Mark Schroeder. Our top story today: for the fifth consecutive year, the Comptroller's popular annual financial report won the highest award given by the Government Finance Officers Association. The PAFR, as it's often called, puts the city's financial information in a user-friendly format so your average citizen can understand. Now, Mark, the source material for the PAFR is the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. We're going to talk a little bit about that later, but it's a thick report. It's over 100 pages, full of numbers and charts and other jargon from the accounting industry. And this PAFR puts all that information into an easy-to-read, short report, complete with information on the city's financial information, some pictures of the business climate and the economic development going along in the city of Buffalo, some information about education, culture, demographics, and city government, and the nuts and bolts about the city's finances. Now, you took this over, and it was an optional report that was provided for the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association. And the GFOA, for 5 years in a row, have awarded you this award. So this award is the Award for Outstanding Achievement in Popular Annual Financial Reporting. It's the highest award they give because they recognize how this report, your PAFR, has been able to put that financial information in a way that your average citizen can understand and utilize, and also gives them the other information about the city that shapes the financial information.
Yeah, no question. I'm very, very proud of our office, Audit and Control, and as you stated, Patrick, this report, the PAFR, which I call the People's Report, it is optional. There are probably only around 63 to 65 municipalities in the nation who opt into this. The reason I have is because one of the trademarks of our office is transparency. And so, I can remember, some of the viewers may remember when we were in school and we were supposed to read a book, and sometimes maybe we just didn't read the whole book, and so we would do what was called then the Cliff Notes. So this is only 9 pages. It's very friendly. It's very easy to understand, as opposed to the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Review, which is 137 pages of mostly numbers. And so I am very, very proud of Audit and Control. I'm very proud of Patrick Curry. Not only is he a voice that you hear on this show, but he also works in my office, and he's worked with Claire Waldron, who is a certified public accountant and a special assistant to me, and also the city accountant, Bill Ferguson, and countless other people within the Comptroller's office who has come up with this award-winning transparency report so that the citizens of Buffalo can understand what's happening both on the revenue side, the expenditure side, socioeconomic side with the demographics. And so I'm extremely, extremely proud of the award that we have earned.
Now, I know we like to brag about the PAFR and what we try to accomplish with it, but I just want to take the words out of the GFOA's report. They said, the reviewers commented favorably that the report contains a variety of useful information that allows readers a better understanding of the city and the environment with which it operates, such as demographics, major companies, principal employers, business and economic development, and education and culture. So this is the GFOA saying that this report really gives people the full package, not only the financial information, but all the information that a citizen would need to know about the city of Buffalo, or for that matter, an investor who's looking to invest in Buffalo bonds. They would give them a lot of information about what condition the city is in, both the government and the city as a whole, and the region it operates.
No question about that. And so I about 5 years ago or so, maybe 6 years ago, I sort of came onto this, and the city of Pittsburgh did the PAFR. And so I investigated a little bit and talked to the Comptroller there and to some other people. And at the end of the day, the people of Buffalo can be very, very proud that we do this PAFR, this People's Report. We do it in-house. We do it in the Comptroller's office. There are many municipalities across the nation who pay a public relations firm $35,000 to $40,000 to publish this. We don't. And so we think that's very important that we have the right people in the Comptroller's office who's able to do all of the things that are required, and there are going to be times that we want to do things that are not required, all because of transparency, all because of communicating with the citizens of Buffalo.
Now, one thing I think that sets the PAFR apart from other reports and other informational documents that sometimes governments put out about their municipality is that the PAFR is, of course, it includes information about the economy, that's things are going good, and of course it includes information about Buffalo and pictures showing how attractive it is. But it also is not afraid to talk about some of the challenges Buffalo faces. And one of the articles in the PAFR is Comptroller Schroeder warns of Buffalo's dwindling reserves. This is basically saying, listen, Buffalo has some serious financial problems. We're running low on reserves. There's a structurally imbalanced budget. And calling attention to this and informing the citizens that this situation is out there is a good way to communicate with the people and show them that, you know, everything isn't just sunshine and rainbows here. We have some serious challenges that we have to tackle, both as a government and as a citizenry.
Over the last 5 years, that particular page has been more favorable. But we're not afraid to put down the real situation at hand. And I believe that the GFOA, I believe that they recognize and they appreciate the honesty that comes from the Comptroller's office and the Comptroller's report based on these types of things that are happening within the city of Buffalo right now.
And also it shows trends in demographics, you know, where you could see, well, it's good that housing values have gone up in the city. It also shows that, you know, poverty has gone up as well in that same span. So it's showing not only, you know, what's wrong with government and what we need to fix there, but what we need to fix demographically, because that's so important when you're talking about the rating agencies and when they're looking at the city of Buffalo and they're giving us a grade.
Precisely.
Which depends, which the grade results in whatever interest we get on those borrowing bonds. So that is a serious thing that the city has to look at. How do we fix these demographic trends, and how do we make Buffalo more attractive, not only to its citizens, but to the people looking to invest in the government?
Yeah, the rating agencies will look at this report. They call it socioeconomics. They really want to see if all boats are rising here in Buffalo. And so that's one way to look at it. That information is also in the Comprehensive Annual Financial Review, as well as it's available that, you know, people can get their hands on it. But it's important information, no doubt, Patrick.
And the viewers at home can get the PAFR. They can call our office at 851-5252 and get one sent to their house. They can find it on our website and the city's website. We're going to get a new website soon, but for the time being, we do have this on our website electronically, or you can contact the office. We can email it or send it a hard copy. So I'd like to encourage the citizens out there to get the PAFR. Now that we've talked about the PAFR, let's talk a little bit about the source material. Now, you had some things you want to talk about, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
So I would agree with you, Patrick, that if the citizens are interested in getting information having to do with Buffalo's finance, they definitely want the 9-pager that you're holding. What I'm holding is the CAFR, and it's 137 pages of mostly numbers. But what I really wanted to do is take this opportunity just to talk with the citizens to explain to them the sequence and how this works. First of all, the budget is prepared by the mayor of the city of Buffalo and his administration, and then the Comptroller responds to the mayor's budget. Then the Buffalo Common Council has X amount of days to do something about the budget. Usually they pass the budget. This year they passed the budget with an 8-to-1 vote. So it's important for the citizens to know that the budget is a blueprint. It's an opportunity for the policy makers to say, say what the next year is going to look like. Now, the Comptroller's role is so important now because when the books are closed on June 30th, and so this shows June 30th, 2017. This is last year's PAFR. Right now, we are very busy in accounting. We are closing the books on the fiscal year that just ended on June 30th. And a new fiscal year has now begun for 2018-19. So essentially, our accounting department, this is their Super Bowl. This is their big time right now because they've taken this budget that the mayor prepared for the year that just ended, and now they're closing the books on it. What's real? What's really real in terms of what happened? And so it's really essential. And the financial statements in this book, it's in compliance with what is called GASB. GASB is the Government Accounting Standard Board. So from a historical perspective, the citizens should know that the PAFR, this Comprehensive Annual Financial Review, has taken on a lot of different versions over time. And in 1946, this version really emerged, and it wasn't until the time that President Eisenhower was president between 1953 and 1961 that essentially it's uniform now. All municipalities must do it this way. And it's important because what you talked about, Patrick, in the PAFR is really the three components that are within this book, the PAFR. The first component is what you talked about. It's the introductory information. It tells the citizens who the mayor is, who the council members are. The organizational charts are all within the first section of this book. The second section of the book is the financial section, and that is where we have independent auditors that come in and assist us in coming up with these financial statements that are very, very important. And it's an analysis of the financial performance versus the budget that the policymakers presented to the citizens of Buffalo. And then finally, as you mentioned in the PAFR, the third section in this book is the statistical report, and it shows debt and taxes, demographics that you showed the citizens in the PAFR. So this is the 137-page book that we will be developing over the next 6 months, but this is something that we feel is user-friendly for the citizens of Buffalo.
And with the fiscal year just ending last week, on June 30th, the process really begins in earnest now, where it'll take some time to decide, to figure out how much the city is going to dip into their coffers and fund balance, for instance, and how much is their imbalance in the structural components of the budget. So that's something that, along with your auditing team in the Comptroller's office and the outside auditors, have that extra set of eyes to look at things. And in the fall, you'll be able to realize and know, finally have some final numbers on where we're going to end up being for this fiscal year that just ended.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But the great thing about this information is that even though it will take at least 6 months to complete in a comprehensive way, over the next few days, I'll be very curious, and I'll be working with the accounting department and the city accountant, Bill Ferguson, because as you know, Patrick, and as the citizens know, I have been very concerned over the last 6 months or so about our cash flow. And so I'm not going to have to wait until we complete the PAFR. I will be able to see some cash flow numbers based on the close of the year that just happened last week. So there's some very useful information over the next several weeks that we will be sharing to the viewers. They don't have to wait until October or November when we publish this and submit it to the mayor, to the council, and to the city clerk.
And we'll get a little bit of more of an idea what the fund balance draw will be in this current year, the year that just ended, I'm sorry. So it looks like it could be anywhere from 20 to 25 million. And considering what we talked about, how the city has dwindling reserves as it begins with, this could be the last year that the city has any reserves to tap in order to balance its budget.
Right. No
So
question.
accounting, we've covered that a lot. When we come back, we have to take a brief break. I want to talk about more of the audit function of your office.
Okay.
Stay tuned for more Comptroller's Corner after this message. Welcome back to Comptroller's Corner. Every year, according to the city charter, the Comptroller has to submit an annual audit plan. This is a plan that shows what the Comptroller is going to use his audit resources for in the coming year. This year, like other years, Comptroller has used a risk-based approach to conducting his audits. Now, this includes both the financial risk, how much money is involved, and the control risk. How susceptible is that money to being used for fraudulent purposes or misused? Now, Mark, this is a huge deal. It's the American Institute of Auditors was used as a basis for your city auditor, Kevin Kaufman, to come up with this plan.
Right.
Basically, it
which we initiated. We did this because previous controllers didn't really adhere this way. What they did is they would tell everybody what they're going to audit in that coming year, which to me is ridiculous. You do not want to let everybody know what you're going to audit. So the way that Kevin Kaufman, our city auditor, is doing it is perfect, and it's in compliance with the rules and regulations that we follow.
And not only in the past did they tell people, but often they would arbitrarily pick audits on something that they thought could be going on, or something after the fact they caught somebody with something and they wanted to look into it. But what your audit what your audit plan is doing is actually looking at a way that you can affect the city's bottom line. Now, this is so we're in a tight financial situation, and you want to do what you can to help the city's financial information, use your resources in ways that's going to help the city financially. And we've seen the results of that. Your audits of the city's electric and street lighting systems have yielded a $1 million refund from National Grid, the city's utility. And another area that you looked at is payroll audits. You're going department by department and looking at payroll audits, and that's along the lines of the financial risk of audit, because the city's the lion's share of the city's outgoing expenditures are related to labor costs. Naturally, the most money that we can recoup if we're going after protecting the city's money is to prevent any fraud or malfeasance with payment, salary, insurance, stuff that labor-related that goes out. That's the financial risk. There's also control risk. Now, this looks at, it might be smaller dollar amounts, but some areas that might have lack of controls, especially anywhere that they take cash. Now, you've looked at several places around the city that used to take cash, and as a result, a lot of places stopped taking cash and following the recommendations. So one of those is the audit of the internal revenue at the Division of Licenses. Now, there was an employee there a few years ago who was issuing licenses and taking the cash and putting it in their pocket. Now, this was found out by the commissioner of that department, and he actually requested an audit, and we've done a follow-up on that. We did 2 audits on that, and we're still looking at ways that they can improve things. But the main takeaway is that you said, it's not a great idea to take cash. It should really only be done in Treasury, and you're looking at ways to kind of get cash out of employees' hands and get it to a place where the people are specifically trained in Treasury to do that. And as a result of your audit, we recommended they stop taking cash, and they did stop taking cash in the Division of Licenses.
And we do, Patrick, and as you know, we do what is called anniversary audits. So it's just not like we do it one time. And so the gift that keeps on giving to us is going back to the audit you talked about, the National Grid. They haven't really changed their practices. They overcharge us on so many different things. They haven't really fundamentally changed anything. And so if we just did the audit one time and then we get back to the city of Buffalo $1 million, good. But we're going to do this every year or every other year until they realize that they better change their fundamental practices, and they cannot continue to cheat the citizens of Buffalo with us up on the 12th floor in audit and control.
Right, because the people like National Grid may look at the city as this entity, but really the money's coming from the people's pockets. So not only is the money that they're charging for a street light that's out, but they're still charging the city. They're charging that to everyone in the city and everyone that pays taxes.
In this day and age, 2018, with all the technology and with all the apps, Are you kidding me? They can't figure out a way that if a light post has been out for a month, you're still going to charge the citizens of Buffalo and the city of Buffalo? I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then these are the types of things that we have to watch. And I'll tell you another thing, Patrick. The citizens know when I first became the comptroller 7 years ago, we had one certified public accountant up there. We now have 10. Number 10 just came in last week. I always had 10, but because different departments steal my accountants and my CPAs, it's okay, it's part of the process. We've just brought in another CPA who is working with us in audit to strengthen the audit team that City Auditor Kevin Kaufman has put in place over the last 7 years. These are pros, these are certified public accountants, they know their way around, and they know how to do a good job the first time.
Now, one of the recommendations in this audit of this division of licenses is that they use pre-numbered documents. Now, many people have seen these on their birth certificates or other official documents where it's security paper and there's a number on there. And you suggesting the division of licenses use that because it's an easy way to track and reconcile. So if there was a license issued, you can back that up and see if there was payment given to the city for that license. Now, you're recommending the licenses implement that. You recommended that the clerk's office do that a year or two ago. They complied with that. Now they just have to do the other part of it where they reconcile it and be able to track back those document numbers to payments to the city. So you're going to be working with the clerk's office on that and making sure it's great they started using the paper. We're glad they did. But now that they're using it and they have recorded in the system, let's reconcile that and make sure that every document is spoken for and accounted for and that the city received payment, or if it was voided, that we have record of that as well.
Yeah. So over the last 7 years, when we do the audit, we then submit it to the department head, and then they respond, within 30 days, because we want to make sure that we got it right, and we want to give them an opportunity to respond. For the most part, Patrick, as you know, over the last 7 years, there have been some exceptions. The fire department has been very concerning to me over the last couple of years, and when we've done audits with them, they have not responded, which is very unprofessional, and it's not the right thing to do in terms of transparency to the citizens of Buffalo. But the city clerk has been somebody who has always been responsive, and he has been the city clerk for some time. His father was the city clerk. I knew him back in the 1970s. These are very, very professional, and they do the best job that they can. But I go through these audits, and in particular with a fine-tooth comb, because there are times where I want to make sure that there's no opportunity for malfeasance. There's no opportunity for an employee to steal money from the citizens of Buffalo. And that's the reason why in some of these audits we explain to the department heads, please do not accept cash. Please have best practices involved. Please don't set your employees up for failure. Set them up for success. Don't give them an opportunity to think that they can cheat. And so these are the types of things that we look at, and it's practical, but I also have certified public accountants who understand best practices, and that's what we put in our audits.
And it is encouraging that both the clerk and the commissioner of permits and inspections have replied to your audits as they're required to by the city charter, because as you mentioned, the fire department didn't respond to several audits, and then the Office of Strategic Planning never responded still to this day to the audit that showed that the city spent $5 million to rehab homes and they only rehabbed 11 houses. So you're still waiting for those two departments to respond to the audits, and there could be some encouraging news is that the city finally has a new fire commissioner, and we're hoping that the new commissioner, once he gets used to the job and up to speed on the way his department running, can kind of look at your audit as a way to improve processes.
And we always, when there's a new commissioner, we will reach out as a courtesy and tell them that if there's anything that we can do to be helpful, if there's anything we could do to review the previous audit that we've done, if there's anything that we can do as we are doing future audits, we will try to give them the information so that they can be better prepared.
So, Mark, we just have a minute or two left. I understand you've been out and about in the community lately. Why don't you tell us a little bit about...
It's so beautiful in Buffalo, and there are so many different things happening across the city, especially in the summertime, which is, everybody tries to do everything in the summertime in a very short period of time. But just recently, I have been involved in the Juneteenth parade. Juneteenth, everybody knows from a historical perspective, is the day, June 19th, 1865, when slavery became the past. But in Buffalo, in 1976, the leaders, Bill and then Assembly Speaker, Deputy Speaker Arthur O'Eve, they were very instrumental in putting together Juneteenth Buffalo. Today, Juneteenth Buffalo is an opportunity for young people to understand where they can go for educational purposes. And so it was a great event. We were involved, and you were involved with the Riverfest Festival at Pegg's Park, Riverfest Park, on Michigan and Ohio. It was a beautiful 3-day event, and every penny that comes in, Peg Overdorf makes sure goes back into that park, which is one of the most pristine, beautiful parks in the city of Buffalo, more pristine than most parks on the Hudson River.
It really sparked redevelopment of that area since Peg Overdorf, who's also the executive director of the Valley Community Association, since she did that park with help from you when you were New York State Assemblyman,
thank you.
There's been a great deal of private development on that area, including 2 condo buildings in an area of the city that you would never see that type of development.
There's been over $175 million of investment in that old neighborhood, exactly the way you explained, and the New York Power Authority also had a part in it. The Seneca Nation has had a part in it, but Peg Overdorf has been the driving force.
And one thing I'd like to mention, that it's called the Riverfest, Mark, and but before Peg had the park, it was taking place in a park that had no riverfront access. And you said to Peggy, listen,
it's a great event, but it's pretty pathetic that it's not even on the river, and that got her going way back when. This June celebrates 7 years of Peggy Overdorf and the Riverfest Park. So it's a great thing, and I'm going to continue to go to different events across the city of Buffalo, and I wish everybody a safe, beautiful summer.
Well, Mark, that's all the time we got for Comptroller's Corner.
Thanks
for joining us.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us at home. Make sure to check out the Comptroller's website, our Twitter handle, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. On behalf of Mark Schroeder, this is Pat Curry, signing off.